Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this weekend for a radical gathering in pursuit of cultivating the world we all deserve. My name is Jessica Munger, she, her. I am so grateful to everyone who is here tonight. Thank you so much. This weekend is going to be really rich. We have a lot of juicy things to learn. This event has been a long time coming, and I'm really proud to welcome you. Thank you so much. The chat, we're going to turn on the chat function over here on the right and let us know, like say hi, feel free to let us know where you're calling in from. Really appreciate y'all being here. So this event was organized by a coalition of organizations who you'll hear from in a few minutes. And we're here because we wanted to create a space to gather. We wanted to hear from people who are doing incredible work that we should know about and host them sharing their work with our community. So we invited people that can help us sharpen our analysis about the situation we're in and people who can help us build skills and knowledge to move forward to a better world for all living things. So thank you all so much. I see folks are still coming in. Welcome. That's great. So if you're here, you've probably identified that we are in crises. We are also in a reality where we are trained to believe that our only power is as consumers and voters, that we should stay within the lines of how to be mad, how to grieve, how to protest, how to be heard, how to make change, all while the most natural parts of us are criminalized and brutalized. So we're gathering virtually this evening, but most of us are tuning in from what's called the United States, which means that we're all on native land. I come from Maidu land, and I currently live in unceded Southern Paiute territory called Las Vegas, Nevada. So if you don't already know, it's a quick internet search to find out about the native people who did and still survive on the land where we are now. And I really encourage you all to do that if you don't already know. And if you do, put it in the chat. Let us know where you're coming from. I see some of you here already. Thank you. Welcome. So today is a friggin' hard day. I will just say that. I imagine that a lot of us are thinking about the cascade of regressive actions being taken by the United States and the violence being waged against us through illegitimate institutions. But we also know that the so-called United States was built upon violence and war for profit and colonization and attempted genocide and stolen labor from stolen people. This violence is not new and it is not surprising, but it is horrific and we can feel that pain here. It's also the inevitable future of an empire built on exploitation, right? So, but as creative and grounded, strategic and visionary people, we know something key, and that is that illegitimate power taken by force cannot make just laws. The Supreme Court of the United States is not an institution where justice will ever be born or protected. And that's a lot of the reason why we're here. In order to cultivate the world we deserve, we have to think beyond what we've been told is possible, beyond the ways we've been told to interact with our world and government, and beyond the fear that we've internalized about changing systems and paradigms. So we didn't know that today would be relevant when we set the date for this event, but we did plan it in this season intentionally. This event is happening now because we need regular spaces to share our tactics and build strategy and share wisdom and take care of each other. We need practice, we need to skill up, to sharpen and to prepare. This weekend is really just a starting point. It's a coming together of incredible voices and work, and it's also not just a one-off event. Our intention is for this configuration to grow. So even though we're just getting started, we're already thinking about what comes after Sunday night. So our goal for the weekend is to propose radical solutions and to explore how, by building relationships with one another as individuals and organizations, we might work together to transform some of those proposals into reality. We don't have any presumptions about what they may look like or what role we alone or together have, but we're not making assumptions. We're just trying to facilitate a space. So we'll talk more about this as the weekend goes on. But you can take part as a speaker or participants in sessions tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday. We ask you to take a few moments to provide input on how we might connect with one another afterwards. So we're thinking about what this could look like after Sunday, and some of the ideas that we had that we'd like you to think include a summary maybe of each session assembled with speaker contact information that could be sent to everybody, including how you can support these different organizations. We might do a joint calendar of events or activities from participating groups. We might do a joint statement from participating groups, assessing the current moment and the need for analysis and solution. We might do a joint day of action around an issue or strategy, maybe a follow-up meeting or debrief, and inviting next steps. There are so many ways we can work together. So I just invite you all to think about that, keep it in your mind as we're participating this weekend. So with those things in mind, I will hand the mic over and let you hear a word about the organizations who came together to host this event. Thank you all so much for being here and the unique role you're all playing being part of this gathering. So now I'm going to introduce you to my colleague, Millie.
Hello, everybody. My name is Millie Harmon. I use the pronouns they, she. I'm joined today, currently reside and grew up on stolen and occupied Yavapai Apache land called Central Arizona. I am a national co-director of the Move to Amend Coalition. Move to Amend has two central goals as an organization. First, to amend the Constitution to say that corporations aren't people and money isn't speech. And second, to create genuine justice-driven participatory democracy as it has never existed in the United States. Our work is often truncated and whitewashed to be just about money and politics and overturning Citizens United. It is not just that. And the problem did not begin in 2011 with the Supreme Court decision. The legal fiction of corporations wielding constitutional rights began 100 years prior. And the precedent of wealthy white men wielding fictitious legal rights to their advantage at the detriment of marginalized peoples on this soil, hundreds of years prior to that. Our work is to build a grassroots movement to legalize democracy. Move to Amend believes that democracy is not the act of voting or even getting involved. Democracy is an attitude of self-respect, a commitment to dismantling structures of exploitation, and a dedication to building just structures and cultures in their place. Building a real democracy means recognizing that the structures of violence we are fighting have harmed and targeted some groups much more than others. Knowing that, we understand that building just structures must mean that the groups most harmed by our current system should have the most say in how to change it. And those who are most affected by political decisions should make them. Real democracy means that all people are included in the phrase, we the people. We know that that is currently not true. Today, people who have a uterus saw their right to bodily autonomy taken away. But when we say those rights were taken, did we ever really have full ownership of ourselves to even say that we possess those rights? Denial of innate human and natural rights is a tenet of colonialism and the founding of what we call the United States. At Move to Amend, we spend time examining how that denial of humanity and the planet from our very founding manifests itself in present day corporate rule. We believe the passage of the We the People Amendment can be an important tool to dismantle corporate rule and strike up conversations about dismantling the larger systems and institutions that they were founded upon, the marginalization and oppression of people, as well as the exploitation of earth and destruction of communities. Our work to pass the 28th Amendment to the Constitution to abolish corporate constitutional rights and money as protected political speech is not an end-all be-all. It is a tool to call out the current power dynamics that do not serve the global majority. White supremacy and colonialism produced the institutions we are currently working day in and day out to resist. And it will take nothing less than our collective power to intentionally tear down and create new ones. Thank you all so much for joining us today. I'm going to pass it over to Ryan.
Thank you, Millie. I am Ryan Inger. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm calling in from Portland, Oregon, Cowlitz and Clackamas land. I am a co-managing director at Alliance for Just Money. The Alliance for Just Money is a nonpartisan organization of people of all viewpoints who share the common value of working together to achieve real monetary reform. Many people believe that when a bank makes a loan, the money lent comes from savings already in the bank. Makes sense, but that's not how it is. Instead, private banks actually create new money as credit whenever a party they deem creditworthy agrees to pay them that principal plus interest over a set period of time. What banks lend is not created by the federal government or even the Treasury, but instead by banks themselves through loans. Private banks create the principal of the loan and then charge interest and fees on that loan, otherwise known as debt money. Our mission at Alliance for Just Money is to research, educate, and organize for real monetary reform, which we define as the development, implementation, and protection of a transparent public money system consistent with Article 1, Section 8, Clause 5 of the United States Constitution to serve the general welfare and commerce of society. There are three interdependent parts to Just Money reform. One, we require Congress to be the sole creator of all US money debt-free. Two, end the privilege of commercial banks to create money. And three, transfer all remaining operations of the Fed to the US Treasury. With Just Money, we will substantially increase the diversity of means to distribute newly created money, reducing the extreme biases of the current system. A few ways Alliance for Just Money educates, advocates, and organizes for Just Money is through our monthly coffee houses, publications on our website, reading circles and book clubs, and our bi-monthly newsletter, to name a few. We're really excited to be a part of the co-sponsoring organizations putting on a radical gathering. So thank you so much for being here with us. And with that, I will pass it on to Jason.
Thank you, Millie and Ryan. Thank you, everyone who's joining us, for being here with us tonight. I'm Jason, pronouns he, him. And I'm with Radical Guide. We are not an organization. We're actually in a project that offers resources of historical and current locations, people, and places of interest that highlight the diverse world of resistance. Said in another way, we like to highlight actions that are focused on creating a better world, a world that lifts up mutual aid, cooperation, and liberation. So with this project, it manifests in so many different ways. One of the primary ways that it manifests is that we map the entire planet and highlight radical locations. We offer user-generated directory of radical locations so people can find, learn, and be inspired by each other. So if you have a radical location or you want to put your work on there, you can go there. It's free to do so. It's easy to do so. You can add your group, the work that you're doing, to the site. We also offer user-generated online courses. So if you're looking to place to host your workshop, training, or course, this might be the place for you. It's free, and we also have it set up so if you want to make money from it, you can do that too. And in addition to that, we produce and spotlight videos that tell a deeper story of resistance and feature them on our Roku channel, on our Fire TV channel, and on our Radical Guide website. But all of these projects, all of these manifestations of this project stems from believing that it's important to remain connected to liberation and resistant work, both past and present, so that we can be better equipped to build the world that we all deserve. So that is why Radical Guide and myself is extremely happy to partner with Move to Amend, Alliance for Just Money, to feature all the wonderful people who are going to be presenting this weekend. So thank you for being here. Thank you for all the energy everyone's taken to put into this project. I look forward to collaborating with all of you during this event and after this event. So thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Shelly Williams. I use she, her pronouns, and I live on stolen Miwok, Maidu, and Nisenan land, so-called Sacramento, California. And I am going to turn off the chat right now. We will have it on and off at different points. This is the section where we're going to talk about the ground rules and assumptions. When you all registered, you did see them, and hopefully you read them and agree with them, but these are not negotiable. And so I'm going to turn off the chat so that we're all listening, and then, you know, we can do more introductions and all of that at other points. So let me do that. So the ground rules and assumptions, the reason we do these, effective ground rules help encourage respectful listening, increase participation and the sharing of ideas and perspectives, promote openness to points of view and increase learning, prevent conflict and misunderstanding, manage problems before and as they occur, and build trust and a sense of safety among group participants. So our ground rules are that you would not acknowledge your value and visions, but be ready to have them challenged. Assume good intentions in others. Exercise respect and compassion in challenging others' ideas. Agreeing to disagree is perfectly fine and encouraged. Be open to diverse perspectives and identities. Strive to understand the experiences and viewpoints of others. Take responsibility for the intent and impact of your words. Personal attacks, harassment, and microaggressions are the opposite of respecting differences and will not be tolerated. Step up, step back. A lot of folks are familiar with that in meetings. Everyone's encouraged to participate, but if you've already voiced your ideas, let others have the opportunity. It's always okay to pass if you are asked to share a comment. Be respectful of introverts and of silence. When you speak, be brief and to the point. Consider your position. Think consciously of your social positions, allowing us to work across our gender, age, education, class, race, sexuality, and other identities in ways that are supportive. Notice whose voices and perspectives are present and those that are absent. Practice both and thinking. One person speaks at a time. Pay attention to the person speaking. If you think you will forget an idea that comes to mind, write it down. And this, in a lot of the panels, the chat will be closed during the main part, and you'll have an opportunity later to ask questions. You can write it down if you want to remember it. Self-care, if it will help, take a breath or two before responding. Do your best to understand the pros and cons of every option, not just those you prefer. Ask questions to seek clarification when you don't understand the meaning of someone's comments. This is a public discussion, not a debate, and it's okay to disagree with points of view. We all make mistakes. Let's give each other the benefit of the doubt. And if you're offended, consider some options. I'm not sure what that means. I think that was maybe not fully developed. Use I statements when speaking. Be accountable. If you say you will do something, do it. So those are the list of the ground rules. And now we're going to talk about the assumptions. Again, these are not negotiable. You might not agree with all of them, but these are the assumptions of this particular gathering. And that's what we're operating on. So one is that the USA is not now, nor has it ever been, a functioning democracy. The United States was founded on stolen land and built using stolen labor from enslaved people. Any movement that wants to actually create a new world must create new institutions, including new legal institutions that meet people's needs without destroying the planet we depend on for life itself. The Constitution or ground rules of any community or country at its best, reflects the collective inspirations and aspirations of the people governed by them. It defines the legal framework of how people structure their society, politically, economically, and socially. Moreover, constitutions are moral or ethical documents, designating what is right and wrong, with profound implications on literally every aspect of the lives of people, their communities, country, and the natural world. The US Constitution and individual state constitutions should be renewed, rewritten, or scrapped, and either replaced or abandoned to account for new generations, aspirations, and circumstances, and should exist as a living document which reflects the challenges and opportunities of the times and is responsive to the needs and demands of the living generations. All just options are on the table, but so are all sacrosanct presumptions, such as the continuation of tripartite government, the perpetuation of national union, the involuntary inclusion of communities in the makeup of states, coercive taxation to support inhumane and life-threatening policies, such as discrimination against groups, mechanized and militarized police, privatization of public lands and institutions, such as education, banking, healthcare, retirement, insurance, and the overall supremacy of rights and property over rights in people and in non-human communities. Independent, diverse, powerful, and inclusive people's movements are essential to expand justice and create a livable world. Legalized usurious debt violates human rights by allowing creditors to claim ownership of the monetary value of a person's future labor. In doing so, a form of crypto chattel has been institutionalized. Indentureship, yes, but actual slavery is accentuated in cases where the property rights of creditors to ownership of debtors' future labor are legally protected by laws like the non-cancelability and ineligibility for bankruptcy protections imposed on student debt. Exponential growth on a finite planet is impossible over the long run, and we are now living at the end of the long run. We oppose oppression against all people in all forms. This includes LGBTQIA Two-Spirit plus people and sex workers. This is not a place for TERFs, which is trans exclusionary radical feminists, or SWERFs, sex worker exclusionary radical feminists. Reparations should be paid to descendants of Indigenous and enslaved people. Such funds, like funding for other essential human and physical needs, can be created debt-free when money creation is returned from banks to the government. Western civilization culture and institutions have prioritized property rights over those of people and those necessary to ensure a livable world. War destroys. People should have the right to opt out of coerced taxation to fund industrial scale war and other atrocities. The authentic involvement of youth is essential in movement work. And finally, we are living in a long transition period characterized by stochastic political, economic, and ecological crises, altogether a conjunctural period. This means the system, our political, economic, and ecological world system will change. There will be a new system with new logics and eventually a new equilibrium. The question thus becomes, what kind of system do we want and how do we get there? In the United States, the 20th century compact between organized labor, the state, and capital is no longer an alternative. This takes social democracy off the table. State socialism is already off the table and corporate capitalism is increasingly rejected. Globally, the climate crisis and the hastening of technological revolutions are two additional drivers of systems change, and these drivers condition the possibility for the next systems initiatives. So I don't have my thing in front of me to see who is going next. Oh, it's the Inabel and the care team. Really excited for this section, so I will hand it over to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelly. Hi, I'm Ina Bell, We Typo, and I'm part of the volunteer care team for this radical gathering. We're seeking to hold social justice spaces differently by offering support and community circle spaces as a resource and as a place to connect and explore our experience of this gathering. Some panels will have interactive moments and others won't. So we wanted a few ways for folks to be able to receive support and connect with each other. The care team will introduce ourselves briefly. To learn more about us individually, you can visit the website. And so I'm Ina Bell. My pronouns are they and sha. I'm on the care team and I'm a share circle facilitator. I'm calling in from Hopi, Waspas lands, also known as the Santa Cruz Mountains in California. And I look forward to connecting with folks. And I'll pass it to Kate.
Hi, everyone. Thanks. Thanks, Annabelle. I'm Kate. My pronouns are she, her. I'm on Coast Salish lands, also known as Tacoma, Washington in the Pacific Northwest. Also a volunteer on the care team and happy to be here.
Hi, everybody. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you all for joining. I am Lisa Jagona. I am on the care team and I am a sharing circle facilitator. I am calling in from the land that was stewarded by the Caddo, the Wichita, and the Comanche, Dallas, Texas. And glad to be here. I'll pass it on to Jessica.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jess, and I'm on the care team. I'm calling in from Oakland, California, Ohlone lands, and I'll be a one-to-one person behind the scenes. So really looking forward to chatting with folks if there's a need. And thanks a lot for being here. We appreciate your time and attention. And is Petra here?
Hey y'all, Petra. I'm calling from Muncie Lenape land, so-called Bronx, New York. Pronouns she, her, ella. We'll be here holding the space with everyone.
All right, thank you all so much. Really, really appreciate care team being here. Annabelle, is there anything else that you wanted to say?
I'll just drop in the chat how to reach out to us, and you'll be able to email us at care@healingisgiving.com for individual support, and to join the group peer circles for sharing. We'll be gathering on Saturday and Sunday at the end of each day of programming. And you can register for those circles in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, all of you, for being here. That is really fantastic. There is more that information again in the chat, and we'll be reminding you of that throughout the weekend in case you need any of that. So thanks again for being here. Okay, so we're moving right along. I have a couple of reminders for this weekend to run smoothly. One reminder is that all the sessions are in one Zoom link. So if you get lost, go back to the email that got you here today and you'll be here. So that's all weekend long. There is a second space, which Annabelle just talked about, and that is a separate space. So if you need that, use that route. The sessions and panels will be in this link. And then, again, to respect our speakers, in some of the sessions this weekend, we'll have the chat function disabled during the panel or presentation, but we'll turn it on when it's time for questions. So hold on to them if they come up. In our experience, the chat can be kind of distracting. So we're going to try it this way for some of the sessions. Let us know what works best for you. I don't know that any one way works best for everyone, but we'll try. And then I want to let you know that we'll keep a running list of websites and cash apps, donation links, and other offerings and asks from our presenters and organizers. So we will keep getting that link out to you so you can follow and give and otherwise support the incredible folks that you'll hear from this weekend. And we do encourage you to support them generously. So we'll keep getting that info out. So yeah, we'd love for you to be a part of this weekend as much as possible. We know there's a lot of content, so take care of yourself, take breaks when you need. We have a few built in, but of course it's a long haul. And please invite your like-minded friends who aren't already here to join us when they can the rest of the weekend. Okay, so the next thing we've got is grounding from George. I will introduce the lovely George Friday. We can find them. There we are. Thanks, George.
Sure. Hello, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon. Glad to be here with you. And I know some of you, or some of y'all know me from past Move to Amend meetings, where I have had the honor of doing the grounding, because as a founder, you get to do these things. But today is going to be a little different. Different because today is different. Different because we're looking forward. And at the moment, if we look over our shoulder, shit is crazy, really crazy. And looking forward, we know what we need to do, and we know what we want and what we deserve. So let's think about that. So I'm going to tell you a story that's really Estelle's story. I would let you know that I'm from North Carolina, but I'm not in North Carolina. I'm in Massachusetts. And today and being here reminded me a lot of Estelle's story. Estelle is from this part of the world, New England, and she's a Native woman. And some years back, because she is deeply spiritual, I learned a lot from Estelle. She went to, I think, New Brunswick in Canada. She went to Canada to go to the Bay of Fundy. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Bay of Fundy. This was near New Brunswick. And it's very famous because of how the tides go there, how the tides work. And what she wanted to experience was the phenomenon of the tide coming in and going out in some ways at the same time. So the water gets reversed. The motion of the water gets reversed. And when she was going to do that, she found a river, big salmon river, and hung out by the river. And then the tide started coming in, and it can go as high as 56 feet high. Now, what Estelle did, because she wanted to observe the phenomenon, was she threw a stick. Now, she threw the stick and it was going out to sea, although the tide was supposed to be coming in. And the water was indeed coming in, and coming in really fast, so fast, she had to retreat from where she was because the water at that point was like up to her waist. And she could feel that the water was coming in, but the stick was going out. So the message there, and the message for us, is when you only look at the surface, when you only look at what you can see, you might think things aren't going the way you want them to. And they may not look like they're not going the way you want them to. And they may go in that direction for a long time, the wrong direction. But at her feet, at our feet, at the ground level where we work, where we implement our strategies, where we think together about what we need, she could feel the change because the tide was rising, the water was rising. And that's what I want to share with y'all today. Of course, feel your feet on the ground. It's really important. From your tiny, tippy little toe to your big old toe, your heel, the arch of your foot. Feel your knees, nice and strong. Shoulders, Now, during the time we're together, or when you're in a small group, if your belly doesn't feel good, right around your belly button, something's up. That's when you need to take a few breaths and think about what you need to say, think about what's going on, and keep your heart engaged during this whole time, because that's what keeps us connected to each other, connected to the earth, sky, and all that's around us, encouraging us to create and manifest the highest good for all concerned. That's what I wish for us today, tonight, and through all the weekend. All right, let's roll.